A big decision tonight in the race for a spot on the North Carolina Supreme Court. Thanks for being here at 7 o'clock. I'm Ashley Rowe. A Wake County judge rejected Republican Jefferson Griffin's request to throw out tens of thousands of ballots. It was an attempt to make up a slim 734 vote deficit to Democrat Allison. We've talked a lot about this story here at 7 o'clock, and we're going to walk you through the timeline of this case in just a moment. But first, let's talk about what happened today. Just hours ago, Riggs and Griffin were making their arguments in court. Protesters showed up too, crying foul at Griffin's arguments. The judge promised a quick decision, and he wasn't kidding. WRAL's Aaron Thomas is live outside the North Carolina Supreme Court tonight. Aaron, walk us through this decision.
Yeah, well, as you mentioned, Ashley, this has certainly been a long battle for who will take one of those seats here in the North Carolina Supreme Court behind me. Riggs' team arguing that this is certainly a victory for the rule of law as well as North Carolinians. Meanwhile, we're still waiting to hear from Griffin, but the North Carolina GOP, they are supporting him. They say that they are confident this decision will be appealed, and they will continue to support Judge Griffin in his pursuit of election integrity. Now, today we did hear from attorneys representing both Judges Griffin and Riggs as to why these votes should or should not be thrown out during today's hearing. Attorneys for the State Elections Board accused Griffin of trying to disqualify voters by changing rules after the election. Officials conducted multiple recounts, resulting in a slim lead in Riggs' favor by more than 700 votes. Griffin argues over alleged voting irregularities. And as this hearing played out, there were protesters who gathered in droves outside chanting, quote, "Stop the steal." Here is Judge Riggs, who spoke with the crowd following that 2-hour hearing.
No matter how long this takes, I am committed to upholding the rule of law.
Now, she went on to say that voters decide elections, and I remain committed to seeing this fight through and upholding North Carolinians' constitutional freedoms. We also tried to attempt to speak with Griffin after that protest took place. He chose not to speak. We're still working to find out if he will provide any comment at this point. Stay with us on our late news as we speak with political science professors who say, despite today's ruling, why this case is far from over. Aaron Thomas, WRAL News, live in Raleigh.
All right, Aaron. You know, we have been talking about this race since Election Day. Let's quickly recap and answer the question, how did we get here?
The election, of course, was in November. At first, the margin between Riggs and Griffin was just 625 votes. Griffin requested a recount, and that's how we got to that 734 number you keep hearing. Griffin requested another recount, but that one didn't change anything. That's when Griffin and the Republican Party picked out those 60,000 ballots with the missing information. Again, the voters didn't do anything wrong. Those were errors made by election officials. Griffin asked the State Board of Elections to throw out those ballots, but the board said no. They opposed the idea of changing election rules after the fact. At this point, all the other elections were certified. So even if the ballots were thrown out, it wouldn't impact any other race. The case went back and forth in federal court and state court. Last week, a federal judge ruled the state court should be the one making the decisions. Today, that court ruled against Griffin, but an appeal is expected. And that's how we got here.